ladies and gentlemen, please give a very warm welcome, Your Horse Live welcome, to Lucinda and Clayton Fredericks.
When you know that you got what it takes, what a difference a feeling makes. And when everyone's dreaming the dream, then you've got the will to win. When the moment is finally here, and you fight and the energy's clear, when you stand on the strength of the team, then you've got the will to win. And you're keeping your eyes on the prize, and you're feeling the energy rise. When you know you can never give in, then you've got the will to win. You've got the will to win.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. We feel very privileged to be here today. Normally, we're actually in Australia in the sun by now, but we were persuaded to stay for 2 more days. Believe it or not, Clayton goes off to Australia for 4 weeks' work on Monday, and I actually go out to China to train the Hong Kong team at the Asian Games, and I leave here by taxi at 3:30 on Sunday, and I get off the last horse at 3:10. A little bit tight, I think. But anyway, we'd like to introduce you to Flying Finish, who's an 8-year-old that this time last year was a riding school horse in Germany. He's done 12 events this year. He's gone from his very first event right up to advanced in 1 season. And his plan is, providing he doesn't get sold, is to go 3-star next year. Clayton's riding an 8-year-old called Brookley. They're both German bred, thoroughbred cross warm blood. And Brookley has won, a lot of points in very few years. He's got his own little technique of jumping, but he's got the most fantastic heart. And he was placed at his first 3-star at Blenheim in September. So I'm going to hand you over to Clayton.
Well, first of all, welcome to everyone. It's great to see you all here. Lucinda's forgot already, but I'm going to say it. Did you recognise the singer? No.
It's Clayton
they didn't
himself.
recognise the singer.
Yes.
Yeah. And I'm going to be the first one to get the plug of the day in. It's available on iTunes, and you can all download it.
It's only 79 pence.
And you never know, the horsey crowd, we might get it up to number 1 if we try hard enough. But anyway, what we'd like to do, what we'd really like to do today and tomorrow is give everyone a bit of an introduction to the way we train and what we do. Lucinda and I probably aren't lucky enough to have very rich owners that have bought us horses. We've had to train horses all the way up from the beginning, or sometimes we've even had to take horses on that have got some problems and need a little bit of good education to get them on the straight and narrow. And I think probably because of that, that's been our strength. It's over the years, it's taught us a lot of, we've had to find a lot of ways to get through to the horses and get them to listen to us. But in saying that, the principle that we have that really everything revolves around is a very simple one, and that's that we train and we insist that the horses are between the leg and hand. And what I mean by that is that when I put my legs on to go, the horse must respond to that. They must go forward when we ask them to go forward. Likewise, we need them to slow down or stop even when we ask them to stop. And the dressage riders have the same problems as we do. So do the show jumpers. They must go forward, they must extend the stride, they must collect the stride in front of the fences. And but when you're going cross country, if your aids are not, and I think Lucinda's mic needs to go down a bit because I can hear her banging in the background.
Oh, excuse me.
But the aids have got to be clear, and the horses have to really respond to your aids. So the first thing we would do whenever we sit on a horse is to really concentrate on getting that horse responsive to the aids. Now, and between the leg and hand. Now, if it's a horse that we haven't been training, obviously these two, we're lucky enough, they stop when we ask them to. Little aid and they go backwards. Leg on, they go forward. And that's just been very, very simple training. It's the first thing that you should do. I see so many riders when I'm teaching around the world hanging onto the horse for dear, dear life. I've got a very light contact with this horse, and I like the horse to be trained, and we repeat things so that they learn. And I like the horses to be light in the contact and responsive. I don't want to be, another thing that so I don't want to have a heavy feeling in the hand. I just want to have the lightest of touches. And that takes a lot of training, but it takes, it's very simple. When you put your leg on, the horse must go. When you put your body back, horse must stop. Good boy. And that's not too bad, considering I haven't really warmed him up that much. But this is something you guys can do at home. When you get on the horse, it's got to go. I don't want to kick him hard or do anything. I just ask him. I want to stop, just sit back and give a very light aid. But over time, if you repeat this over and over again, the horses start to listen to the body, and as soon as you start to sit back, they get under with the hocks, they sit down, and they understand that we want them to stop. And the thing with cross country, which is what our big thing in eventing is that the horses have to respond. If you come around a corner and you've got a massive ditch with a big rails at the end, and you put your leg on and the horse goes, huh? What was that? You're in trouble because you've already missed your stride and things aren't working. I should know, some of you might have seen me sitting in a ditch at badminton a few years ago. So, you know, everything we do is about getting the horses between the leg and hand. And the same goes when we want the horses to turn. And this is in every phase. A lot of riders make the mistake is they bend the horse with the inside rein, thinking I want the horse to turn, and what happens? They just pop out the shoulder and out they go. We use an opening rein, so we lead the horse to the inside to turn. We close the outside rein and outside leg, and just ask the horse to come around, keeping control of the shoulders, keeping control of the neck. And this theory works great in a lot of sports. You know, you can be playing polo, where you're galloping up to the ball, suddenly someone hits it back the other way. And they got to turn around on their hind legs and go down the other way. Change the direction, and the same thing happens.
We do this all the time.
And considering it was raining too hard for me to ride him yesterday, I think he's doing a pretty good job. So, that's the basis of our training. Everything we do works on is about having the horse between the leg and hand, going forward when we ask, stopping when we want. Sometimes at the start it can be quite crude. Lower leg forward, take the back teeth out. That's called an Australian half halt, if you didn't know. And then if you put the leg on and the horse doesn't go, you know, the stick says, yes, you do go. But what we don't want to do is nag at the horse. We don't want the leg to have to be there. Is there anyone out there who, when they ride, end up, come on, come on, come on with the leg all the time? Come on, you can be brave. We all make mistakes. Where's your hands? There you go. You know what I mean. When we sit on the horses, we like to just sit on the horses, be the passenger. I would like to drive a sports car. I don't want to be pushing around an old truck. So you've got to train. Use the stick as a backup, but ask once nicely. If they don't respond, then, hey, come on, sharper. And another good little trick to get them sharp off the leg is the old pony club kick. You know what I mean? Like this. I didn't kick him very hard because he didn't respond. So, but that's a good way. You ask once nicely. If the horse doesn't respond, wake him up. They've got to be off the leg. They've got to be sharp. Likewise, once you've gone through the process, you know that your horse is good in the mouth. They've had their teeth done. He's got the right bit for him. And as you can see, that's a never-ending saga in all a rider's life, is what bit have we got in and all the rest of it. But once you've got them in the thing that they're comfortable in, then you've got to train them. You've got to train them to be finger control, light and soft. The horses should go in their own balance. They shouldn't be going in a way where us as riders are pulling their heads in or strangling them. I never forget, I did a clinic in America, and we had a really nice cocktail evening on the Saturday of the event. And one of my favourite sayings is, riding is not wrestling. And they had a very interesting photo of me from Burleigh one year, and I think this was about the position that I was sitting in. So it's good that they had a bit of fun. But yeah, riding's not wrestling. It should be training, and we've got to get the horses to respond. And of course, a big part of that is having the horses with a good brain, a trainable mind. When Lucinda and I go looking for horses, the most important thing, yes, it's nice, we've got a good-looking horse, he's a nice colour, and he moves well, and he jumps well, and he uses himself. That's all very, very important. But they could be the flashiest horse you've ever seen, and we would not be interested unless the horse's mind is trainable and the brain is trainable. And that takes a long time to actually learn how to look at a horse and work out whether their brain is trainable. But yeah, it's very, very important.